What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith, hanging out today with Graeme Thomas King. How are you, man?
Nice to meet you, mate.
It's great to meet you, too. Former New York City resident, I should say.
Kind of, yeah. I lived there for 2 years, as I was saying, so I suppose I was a resident, yeah.
But now you're a California man.
No.
Gypsy slash California man.
you quote me when I'm saying things.
I'm coming right after it.
Yeah, no, don't call me California. No, I don't think if you meet me, you wouldn't describe me as California. I've still got a little bit of New York in my heart, or quite a lot. It never leaves you.
You got the British spirit. I mean, that's what you truly got.
I've got the British spirit, exactly. I've got the British bulldog in me. That'll never leave.
So why don't we wind it back? Take me back to growing up in the UK and just the type of kid that you were, you know, and who were your early influences? Because you were like a finance guy.
Yeah, I was.
Give me the whole story here.
Well, I grew up in a place called Portsmouth, which is on the south coast. Did all my education there and then I did my undergraduate degree in business and finance in Liverpool.
Okay.
So I'm a Liverpool football fan.
That's your squad.
That's my squad. And Portsmouth, which is where I'm from. That's where, you know.
Home is where the heart is, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then from there I went to do a master's in London in finance. And then I went to work in finance for I think I lasted about 6 months, I think, before I decided that this wasn't for me. I had to do something else, and yeah, acting kind of, it came out of nowhere really. I've told this story loads of times, but I was on a bus in London going to the library while I was doing my masters, and this girl came up on the top deck of the bus and asked me if I was an actor. It was very random. She was just sat like sort of where you are, and she was like, "Are you an actor?" And there was no one else on this top deck of the bus, so I was like, who's this person, basically? And I was like, no, I'm going to work in finance. So I'm not an actor.
I got a master's.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a master's. But she was like, you know, well, I'm doing this short film, and I'm looking to cast some people. I think you'd be really right for one of these roles. And I was like, I'd never acted before. Bear in mind, like in school, you know, the opportunity was there. We did drama and everything like that. But you talk about what kind of kid I was cripplingly shy, so shy. I don't think I spoke until I was like 6. So you speak in sort of vowels.
That's really late.
Yeah, it was. You know, I'd speak in vowels and sort of consonants. So shy. So I never did any of that growing up. You know, it was like kind of my worst fear sort of thing. Public speaking, all that sort of stuff was just terrifying. So. Yeah, I never did it, and back to the girl on the bus, I gave her my email address, and she was dead keen, and she organised this audition for me to do, and it was like 2 weeks later or something like that. But I didn't, you know, I literally knew nothing about the process of auditioning or anything like that. But she gave me this monologue to do. It was an Ibsen monologue, which is like, you know, Shakespeare sort of thing. I was like, what the hell?
I've never seen any of this
What is this?
before.
It made no sense, but you know, I learned it, and I went to the audition. I still don't know what possessed me to go. I could have easily just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And it was it was a short student film. It wasn't like, she's like, yeah, we're going to pay you and stuff like this. It was like, none of that.
No, it's just like, hey, can you hook me up and be in this thing?
Exactly. So I did the audition, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. And it was just fun. Like, I grew up playing a lot of sports, and I kind of liken acting to that in many respects. If you know, it's all about working in a team, working with other people, collaboration, and you know, creating something organic. And it was very much like that in the audition. It was literally me, her, the director, and we just kind of worked this thing out. And it was, you know, it was fun, and it was. Growing up in the UK, the class system is still very much alive, and it's, you know, it's not like woe is me. I didn't grow up, you know, poor or anything like that, but you're very much aware of sort of what place you're in, and sort of even going into working in finance, it was very evident. Like, well, did you go to Cambridge? Did you go to Oxford? Did you go to Eton? And I didn't go to any of these schools, and I was always very aware of that. And playing sport, but doing the audition, and being involved in the arts sort of community, it was like none of that mattered. Didn't matter. I mean, the girl she was from Italy, the director was from Brazil, and I was like, this is amazing. Like,
classless.
Yeah, exactly, literally classless. And I was like, wow, that really struck me. I remember that, and I I thought, wow, I could, this is so cool. It doesn't matter like who I am, where I'm from. Like it's just about we're just doing this thing together. We're just creating something, and I was like, that's really cool. Didn't stop me from working in finance though, because
it's a good paycheck. I want to keep getting this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was still hell-bent on working in finance. I wanted to work for like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs, come here to New York and like do one of those jobs. Thankfully that didn't work out. You talk about like fate. I applied to all those places, didn't get into any of them, but I ended up working in a fantastic firm in London. It was basically a hedge fund of small people, a small group of people, and I say I lasted about 6 months, and like I worked with wonderful people. They were so nice to me, and they were great, but I was like, this isn't me, and I wasn't even particularly good at what I was doing. To be honest, I've never been even that mathematically minded, to be honest. Like, terrified me maths growing up. So I was like, Graeme, what are you actually doing in this environment? And I was like, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror and think I'm doing what I want to do with my life. And so I had to start thinking, well, what else am I going to do? And cut a long story short, well, what brought me to New York, actually, I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and we were in rehearsals for this short film. Sorry, I'm going on so long about this.
It's quite a story.
It is, yeah. But I was doing, we were in rehearsals, and I knew nothing about acting. So I thought, well, I need to learn what the craft of acting is. So I went on Amazon while I was in work, I think, and just typed in acting technique books in the search bar. And the first one that came up was a book by William Esper called William Esper Teaches the Meisen Technique. And I bought it and read it, absolutely loved it. And it turns out that they have a studio here in New York.
Right.
They do, just 10 blocks from here. That's what I say. I used to live here just around the corner, and I used to walk to the studio, just on 37th and 7th. Because eventually I did go there, because I read the book, loved it. I was like, wow, this place seems really interesting. It seems like something I could do potentially. And I never doing the short film. I never thought, I'm going to be a wonderful actor. I'm brilliant at
right,
this.
It's the one-off.
Yeah, exactly. This is like,
cool. Great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this is changing everything. I knew that I didn't know anything about acting or like what it was. So, but read the book, loved it, and looked up the studio and was like, well, that's really cool. They seem, maybe I could do that, and looked them up, and they do 6-week summer intensives. And I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I wrote my cover letter whilst I was in the office in London, literally, looking behind me.
Making sure your boss isn't watching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I think it was like one other person in the office, but I was literally writing it. And I've always been quite impulsive like that. I'm like, if something feels right, just go for it.
You're all in.
And I sent it off, and I didn't think I'd hear anything back, but I did, and had a Skype interview with Laith, who's a legend, and we just said, he said, if you're green, you've never acted before, obviously, but if you can afford to come over, why don't you do it, and we'll see how it goes for 6 weeks. And I said, okay. And I quit my job, literally, and like 2 months later, I was sort of in New York.
That's insane.
It was mad, yeah.
Honestly insane.
It was, and then did the 6-week summer intensive, and I have to give them a shout out, the people at the Esper Studio, because they're just wonderful people, and anyone interested in learning an acting technique should definitely look them up.
Yeah, what did you learn during that 6-week
process?
process?
It was the 6 weeks was a summer intensive, so it was very much the main program is a two-year thing, and so it's sort of a glimpse of what they do in the 2 years. And I studied with Suzanne Esper, who's Bill's wife, and yeah, it's sort of a glimpse of what you would be doing if you did the 2 years, basically. So it was intense. It was shocking for me. Coming to the States was shocking, to be honest, because I'd never.
I'm sure it was.
It was. You're all so different,
What was the biggest shocker?
You're also emotional. you all wear your hearts on your sleeves, which is amazing.
It's not like that in the UK.
No, we're very repressed.
Yeah.
We're very, very repressed. So coming here and like everyone's crying around me, it was like, wow, this is.
Well, especially in the acting world, where you really need to tap into your
emotions.
emotions.
So that took a while to get used to. but just also just living in New York, to be honest, of like the hustle and bustle of it, and just
totally different lifestyle.
Yeah, and I'd never really lived. I mean, I'd spent a bit of time away from home before, but never really lived on my own. So that was a shocker, you know, of sort of sorting all this sort of stuff out that I had to do, you know, on my own. But it was a wonderful time, and I did the 6 weeks, and I was like, I'm going back to the UK, but they invited me to do the 2 years, and I ended up doing it, and then came back in the September. I can't even remember what year that was now, but yeah, came back, and then it's pretty much. Did that for 2 years, so I lived here for 2 years, you know, learnt a wonderful technique, met some wonderful people who are still some of my closest friends, and I love coming back here because, you know, I get to see them. Yeah, good memories, and yeah, just, you know, learnt the craft of acting and sort of learnt so much about myself, and grew up a lot, and then I was able to, I went back to the UK and was lucky enough to get representation with some wonderful people in London, and then eventually some wonderful people here in the US, and then literally one of the first or second auditions that I got sent on from my US agents was Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionists, and I remember I self-taped for that in the UK, December, in 2017.
So it's just like we're at home in your apartment?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a room like this, actually. A guy who does self-tapes, Will Austin, who is a great actor and good friend, and so we did it, and it's classic, you know, like, I don't know if you've acted before, like done auditions.
Like middle school,
you probably did auditions like presenting and stuff like that. So, you know, you send tapes off, don't you?
Right.
You don't hear anything, do you? You know, you send them to studios, and like, so I really didn't know much about the show, to be honest.
Had you seen it before?
No, I hadn't. Like, I remember I was in the pub the night before my audition. That doesn't sound very good, does it? I remember I was in the pub.
I was just loosening up a little bit.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and an American friend said I had this audition. He was like, "What's it for?" And I was like, "It's Pretty Little Liars. Have you heard of it?" He was like, "Yeah, you know, that's massive, like in the States." I was like, "Nope, never heard of it." And described him kind of what the character was, and yeah, I still remember that quite vividly, and. Yeah, did the tape and didn't hit back ages, you know, probably 2 months, didn't hear anything back, totally forgot about it, and then my manager called me and was like, I was driving home actually in London, and he was like, you remember you did Pretty Little Liars? I was like, no, not really, and it was like, well, they want you to test for it, screen test for it in LA, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to LA, and probably a week later I was doing the screen test in front of execs at Warner Brothers, and then network test for Freeform, and then chemistry test, and then they're like, it's yours.
Boom.
And I was like,
here you are.
It's crazy. And then this, kind of brings us here, I suppose. But yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It really is.
Probably missed a lot of the growing up stuff that you asked about. But that's the general trajectory, if you know.
No, that's exactly what I was looking for here. I mean, you go from random bus moment to losing, I'm done with the job, to coming to New York, and here you are now in the show. I mean, it's a crazy story.
Yeah, people keep telling me that. Yeah, I haven't.
And you're like, this is just my life. You know, I've just been doing it.
Yeah.
But when you take a step back, like, that doesn't happen. Like,
no, it
you got to realize that.
Yeah, I have to give Beatrice, who was on the bus, a big shout out.
I mean, she changed your life?
She did, which is mad if she like watches this and sees it.
She's like, that's the guy from my short
that's
film.
the guy. He was terrible in my film, and but yeah, it was totally fortuitous because I was on my own on the top deck of this bus, and I'd never ever, I would never have done it. Like, to say, so shy growing up, you know, and it's weird how I think, you know, life takes you in these sort of paths of. For me, being, you know, that was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. Put me in front of a room full of people, and I have to do, you know, a monologue or sort of even speak in front of a group of people.
Yeah, that's your greatest fear.
It is, it is, and it's like your young. I think it's like your young soul protects you a little bit from what is to come, because it knows that, you know, you're going to go on this path to where you most fear, sort of thing. But yeah, it's pretty mad, and I count my blessings every day and just try and. Yeah, it's crazy, but I worked hard. I did. Absolutely. I have to say, I did work hard. I did. Like, you know, I knew that I had to train. I didn't know anything about acting. I still don't really. I mean,
you're still growing and learning.
We all are, aren't we? Like
absolutely.
everything.
Yeah,
and like,
work in progress.
Yeah, and I'm like so lucky to be. That was the big draw of acting, and you know, you're always learning something about yourself, about other people, just about the craft of, you know, the technicalities of it, of lighting, of cameras. You know, and that is an amazing thing that I'm so grateful for, and that as I'm constantly learning stuff. But it takes a willingness on the individual's part to want to learn, you know, and I'm proud that I've always wanted to do that and to learn, to push myself as well, and to work hard. So I have worked hard, and fortunately it's paid off. It doesn't always pay off, you know, and but I'm very grateful, very, very grateful.
So did you audition for Greta before or after the show?
Oh God, I didn't even, Greta, God, I got that before.
Okay.
That was my first thing.
Right.
I totally forgot about that because it was such a minor thing. But it was, I got that off, Gina J, the casting director, gave me I have to give her credit again because she took a shot on me of sort of, it was just a tape I think that my agents had sent to her, and like they needed a guy to be shirtless basically and say one line and to be American as well, so like he can do an American accent, let's have him. So I did that before, and that was actually I was only there a day, but it was a great experience working with Neil Jordan, who's an absolute legend, Chloe Grace Moretz, Michael Monroe, who was so nice, and
it's a good credit to have.
It was I honestly, it was great just being there because I just was soaking everything up, and Neil was so nice to me. Like, he didn't have to be, and he gave me so much time for like a guy who was there for a day and had like one line and sort of, you know, didn't have a massive part, but you know, it was wonderful just to be in like Michael Monroe's company and Chloe's company. I actually mistook Micah for an AD.
Oh, really?
The first time I saw him.
Boy.
I did. I couldn't believe it. Like,
What'd you say?
It's terrible. It was so early in the morning, and like call time was like 5:30 or something like that, and I just got out of makeup, and there were obviously so many people on set, you know, and I'm trying to introduce myself to everyone, and like,
shirt on at this point or shirt off?
Shirt off.
Okay, yeah, so it makes it even more awkward, right?
It was, yeah, and like I just came out the makeup room, and she came bustling down. I think she had like headphones on or something like that. I was like, she was like technical or something like that. I was like, hi, I'm Graeme. Like, what's your name? She was like, I'm Micah.
Oh man.
You're like, she's like, I'm going to be working with you. Oh, great. I was like, yes, of course you're Micah. Nice to meet you.
Oh man.
And I had to try and kiss her in the scene. Like, she was like the person I was in love with, so it was even more awkward. But
oh my gosh.
She was very gracious about it. And but that was cool. Yeah, it was really flying to Dublin. They did it in Dublin.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
You know, recreated New York City basically in Dublin. So that was really cool. And then, that was in the summer actually. So a few months later, then got Pretty Little Liars, and then everything's kind of changed, and it's
a good little stretch so far.
So far, yeah, it's good. You know, very ambitious and sort of. But yeah, I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed to be where I am, and the show's great and people seem excited about it. So, yeah.
No doubt. So when people check out the show, what do you want them to be thinking about?
Well, there'll be a lot of people who come across from the old show, but I describe it. I think it's its own show and it's kind of its own right, and the whole cast is wonderful, and I hope people just enjoy it. Like, just relax and enjoy it, and stick with it. It's a great story. It's got a great cast of people. The writing's great. So if you liked Pretty Little Liars, then you'll love this show. But if you didn't see it, like me, then jump on in. Like it's totally its own thing. And yeah, I think it's certainly worth a watch. And thank everyone for the support, honestly, because it's been immense so far. Of sort of people, who are so excited about it, who really didn't know that much about it, because it's a spin-off, and for people to show that much support for something that they don't really know that much about is immense, because it's all been really positive. I haven't really heard much negative stuff about it, and filming was wonderful, and I'm very proud of what we created. So yeah, definitely tune in. And,
tell everybody where they can check it out.
You can check it out it's on tonight, I think. What's the day? Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, so it's on Freeform, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You say that, don't you?
Yeah.
Eastern Standard.
We're riding with that here in New York. Yeah, we're on the East Coast.
We're on the East. Okay.
Yeah,
so
5 o'clock Pacific.
Yes. No, 8 p.m. Pacific.
8 p.m. So 11 Eastern. We'll get the time. We'll get the time.
Get the time.
For the article, we'll get the time right.
Freeform tonight, freeform.com afterwards, Hulu tomorrow, and yeah, that's where you can catch it. So yeah, check it out.
He is Grant Thomas King, once on a bus, now on a TV show.
I love that.
Thanks so
Cheers,
much.
DJ. Cheers,
All right, we'll see you next time here on The Sit Down.